my granny.
This is my grandmother.
And this is my grandma.
Seniors are very important.
I love you, Babcha. We need you.
You are loved.
When the sun is bright or in the darkest night, we're all in this together. I've got many friends, and you are one of them. We're all in this together. It will be okay. Ça va bien aller. I've got many songs to sing, won't you? Sing them too, sing them too.
Hi, I'm Crystal Baran. Join me to talk about eating healthy on a budget. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about eating healthy on a budget, and I'm going to be giving you some tips to really get you on the right track. Oftentimes, eating healthy seems to be really daunting and difficult, and oftentimes people feel like it can be really expensive. We're going to be focusing on 3 tips to eating healthy on a budget. First, planning. Second, getting to know your grocery store. And third, smart substitutions. I hope you're going to enjoy. Before I start, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a certified health coach specializing in stress and anxiety, and I'm also a naturotherapist. I've been on my personal wellness journey for over 15 years, and let me tell you, it was complicated, or at least I thought it was, until I was able to come up with the solutions myself to figuring out how to get healthy in the easiest way possible. One of the things that I've learned over the years is what you put in your body has a significant impact, not only on your physical health, but on your mental health. And it's super important that we get to know the foundation of what health and wellness is, which is why today we're going to be talking about food. We're going to be going into tip number 1, and that is planning. Guys, planning is pivotal to any successful health journey. It starts with the simple things. Things like your local flyers. You all probably receive them either in the mail on a weekly basis, or you might even receive them on your telephone or in your emails. But at the end of the day, this is something that is going to help you to actually practice getting healthy by planning out the things that you're going to be eating. Flyers are also a really great source of inspiration. Oftentimes when we're taking a look at them, we can pick and choose the things that we want to actually eat in our week. So I'm going to challenge you. It's not always the best thing to only go based on what's in the flyers. The things that are on the flyers, are they necessarily healthy for you, or are they just things that are on sale? I challenge you to next time think about this before you decide to put something on your grocery list. The next aspect of planning is thinking about the things that you want to eat in a week. When we plan our week, it gives us the opportunity to build out that list of all of the things that you're going to need specifically to making the meals for you and your family. This is a huge time saver, but it's also a big money saver. Another great way to plan is to have a really good meal plan, something that gives you the recipes, and it also gives you a whole grocery list. This meal plan that I've actually prepared for you actually has all of the grocery lists that you will need to prepare all of the meals that are in here for a whole 7 days, including your snacks. It's a great way to stay on plan, it's a great way to stay on budget, and it's a great way to get really good foods into your diet. Take a look at what's on this plate, guys. There's some beautiful avocados, there's some amazing tofu and quinoa, we've got our greens, we've got our beans. It's a complete meal, and it really doesn't cost that much to be able to create a meal that is this healthy. These recipes are specifically geared towards having a healthy heart. So any of you who are having any health concerns when it comes towards your heart health, this is a great opportunity to incorporate this into your day-to-day lifestyle. I welcome you to go take a look on the link below. You'll find the details where you can download your free copy. Another reason that it's really good to make the plan is because you often have food that goes bad in your refrigerator if you don't really know what you're going to be making. So we're not only saving you money, giving you healthier food to eat, but we're also making sure that we're not wasting that precious food that you've spent your money buying in the grocery stores. It's definitely a win-win situation. Tip 2, guys, is get to know your grocery store. Here's story time. I remember moving to my new neighborhood and going to shop at the brand new grocery store down the street. Let me tell you, when I walked in there, it was almost like Christmas. The colors were spectacular, the specials were on fire, and everywhere I went in that store was something new. Let me tell you, I learned really quick what going off my budget meant. When I talk about getting to know your grocery store, I actually really mean get to know your grocery store inside and out, and how everything flows when you walk in the door. The first section that you walk into is your produce section. The produce section is phenomenal. Fresh is so good. Getting fresh fruits and vegetables into your diet is a must, especially when we're getting healthy. And there are tons of different ways that you can get healthy with the budget. It doesn't have to break the bank. The next section of the grocery store that we meet is the perimeter of the store. This is where we're gonna start to be exposed to something that's a little bit more common in the rest of the grocery store, is whole foods versus processed foods. This section gives us the opportunity to have things like meats, cheeses, deli meats, dairy, and even going into the frozen food section where we can find definitely a lot more processed foods. Let me take a moment right now to explain to you the difference between whole foods and processed foods. Whole foods are essentially nothing added, nothing removed. Things like apples, oranges, the fruits and the vegetables that you get in your grocery store. That's not to be said that all processed foods are bad for you. We're gonna talk about that in a second, about how certain processed foods can actually be beneficial to our health. You can have things that are heavily processed, but you can also have things that are lightly processed. An example that I wanna give you today is something like tofu. Tofu is a processed food, but tofu would not exist if it weren't for the actual processing of the curds in the whey to actually turn it into something that is packed full of protein and nutrients for people who are looking to incorporate more of a plant-based lifestyle into their day-to-day. If we didn't have that processing, we wouldn't have those nutrients. Another example of a lightly processed food that we see regularly are things like frozen vegetables. There is a process that takes place to be able to get them from the field to our freezers. But again, the processing is very light. What's important to note here is that not all processed food is created equal. Two things can look very similar, but be totally different. I'll give you a small example. Let's take these cans of corn. We've got two different brands here. I'm sure you've seen them all. Believe it or not, this one is $1 and this one is $1.78. This one has two ingredients, water and corn. This is what we're looking for. This one has water, corn, and salt. And it's almost double the price of this one. Ultimately, at the end of the day, by learning how to read your nutrition labels, you're actually gonna be helping yourself to even get healthier. And again, this is definitely on budget. When we talk about processed foods that are not good for us, it's those packaged foods, the ones that we don't really understand all of the ingredients that are going into the food that we're eating. We have those TV dinners that are chocked full of additives, things to basically keep the food preserved for a longer period of time. And unfortunately, it's bad for our bodies because our bodies don't understand how to process it. You can create your own homemade TV dinners that ultimately end up costing you less than what you're seeing in the grocery store. This brings me back to planning again. If we want to have that TV dinner, guess what? You can. You just have to make sure that it's on your list and you plan ahead of time. And basically, it's as simple as putting together something that you really enjoy eating with things like you need a Tupperware. The Tupperware could be just any regular Tupperware, or you can find the Tupperwares that have those handy compartments to be able to put your food in different spaces in the freezer. This is actually really good when you're cooking up things like chili. You can have a really amazing meal that's placed away in the freezer and it's ready for you just to reheat on your stove or even pop in the microwave. You can also do batch cooking of things like fresh chicken, cook it all up, make yourself some really awesome wild rice with some vegetables, place it all in those freezer containers, and they're ready for when you need them, all being healthy in the long run. The third section of the grocery store that we're going to be going through is the bulk food section. You can oftentimes find that close to the fruits and vegetables, or you can even find it in one of the first aisles of the grocery store. This is another really good section where you're going to find tons of whole foods. So those nuts, the grains, and again, it allows you to slowly but surely start making choices in the right direction. Do we want to take the nuts that are full of different types of spices and ingredients that we're not really 100% sure of? Or do we want to grab those almonds that are completely plain and maybe dress them up yourself at home with the spices that you know are going to be good for you? Next, I'm going to be taking you to the fourth section of the grocery store, the aisles. There are tons of aisles in the grocery store, and let me tell you, it could be very complicated to navigate the grocery store aisles. There are so many things that are in play here, one of them being marketing and advertising. I'm not sure if you know, but grocery stores are paid to have certain labels directly up in front at eye level. Are they the best things for you? Maybe not. I just want to take you back to something that I talked about a little while ago. 1, your budget, and 2, batch cooking. Batch cooking can be great and it's really amazing, especially when we're coming into the amazing spring and summer months. These are opportunities for us to shuffle our budget a little bit and to make some shifts in order for us to be able to do that additional batch cooking. All of those amazing strawberries that you can pick up at the farmer's market that are on sale and they're great prices. Maybe buying more of them would be value to you because you can always bring them home, you can freeze them and prepare them for when strawberries are no longer in season. Another great example are tomatoes in the fall. Those beautiful bushels of tomatoes, you might want to make a really awesome sauce and have a whole bunch of it for the rest of the season. At the end of the day, when we shop within our seasons, it gives us the opportunity to spend a lot less money and get a lot more bang for your buck. So, we've had the opportunity to talk about tip 1, which was planning. How do you plan out your week for your groceries? I think we did pretty good there. Tip 2 is knowing your grocery store. We did a full guided tour about all of the sections of the grocery store and the things that we need to look for when it comes to processed versus unprocessed foods. Third, we're going to talk to you now about small, smart substitutions. This is where we start making different choices and picking and choosing based on our budget, but also making the differentiation between certain things like organic versus non-organic and genetically modified organisms, which are GMOs for short. It's important to understand what organic and genetically modified foods are so that you could start to make a difference and incorporating certain foods into your diet, even on your budget. What is organic? Organic is essentially the label that basically tells us that the foods were produced without any added chemicals, fertilizers, or pesticides. They have a seal of approval from an organization that basically guarantees that these have been produced in a way that are not adding additional harmful things to the foods. I welcome you today to take a look at the site, the Environmental Working Group, the EWG.com. On this site, you're able to find what they call the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Every year, the EWG works hard to be able to come up with these lists for us to help us make decisions with the things that we want to be organic in our life. When we're talking about the Dirty Dozen, the reason why the EWG comes up with this list is because these are articles of food that, unfortunately, at the end of the day, they get filled with pesticides and herbicides. They're unable to withstand the chemicals that are being sprayed on them. So things like that are very porous, like strawberries. Strawberries should be something that we choose to make the substitution into organic. Things like spinach, because it's very, very much based with water. It absorbs anything that's in the ground. Kale, collard greens, mustard greens, even things like nectarines. What's fun about this list is that we're not telling you to completely go over to organic for absolutely everything. Now, let's go back to the Clean 15. What is that? These are actually 15 fruit and vegetable options that you actually don't need to buy organic because they don't absorb things the same way that the other fruits and vegetables do. So, let's take a look. Avocados. I mean, who doesn't like a good avocado? But at the end of the day, that doesn't need to be organic. Sweet corn, pineapple, onions, papaya. Who knew? These are things that don't absorb the nutrients from the ground the same way that some of the other foods do. So again, this is an absolutely amazing option for you to have handy when you're doing your groceries. Here's the list that you can actually get on the EWG site. You're able to download this list, and it's actually a very handy cutout. You can actually fold it up and put it in your wallet and keep it for you at your convenience when you're doing your next grocery shopping. Believe it or not, guys, organic doesn't cost as much as you think. Yes, there's a fancy section in your local grocery store that says organic. But when we really look at the price per price of each of the items, there is not that much of a difference. We're gonna start by comparing apples to apples. Here I have 2 apples. They're both Gala apples. They're both approximately the same size. I made sure to pick them. What I want you guys to understand is this. One of them is organic, the other one is not. And there is literally a 30-cent difference between the two of them. Again, when we're talking about buying our food on a weekly basis, guys, it's on a budget and we don't need to buy 50 apples per week. We eat maybe 3 or 4 of them. Yes, if they're on sale, we might want to buy more, but at the end of the day, 30 cents on the apple is nominal. It's something that we're capable of doing one small step at a time. The next thing I want to talk about is GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Sounds really complicated, but essentially what it is things that have been modified by science. We have really great scientists in the world, and I'm not going to take away anything from these people. They're there to help us, to support us. But unfortunately, when it comes to our food, the things that we're putting in our body is super important. And when things are genetically modified, oftentimes our bodies have a really hard time metabolizing them. They've been created to resist herbicides, pesticides, and pretty much anything that you can think of when it comes to, your farming techniques. Unfortunately, like I said, your body doesn't like it. And from a health standpoint, it's something that we would probably want to remove and avoid from our diets. Most non-genetically modified foods are labeled with the non-GMO sticker on the front of the box. You can also find that in the grocery store in the organic section. There will be labels that say that things are non-genetically modified. That non-GMO label could be on almost anything that you eat. What's important to note is that it's not necessarily more expensive. More and more companies nowadays are being conscious about the things that they're putting into their foods, and they want people to understand that they're out there to help you. So taking a look at your organic labels and your non-genetically modified foods is certainly going to be great for your health. And as I proved with the apple, there are pennies to the dollar. And if we are planning, like we talked about in step 1, we're really capable of being able to make these small, sustainable solutions to keep you on budget and keep you healthy. The next smart substitution that I wanted to talk about is fresh versus frozen. Guys, there's so many people that think fresh is better, but believe it or not, frozen is actually a really great option. Here in Quebec, we have 4 seasons, sometimes only 2. Unfortunately, it puts us in a situation where we can't always get fresh fruits and vegetables all year round. The other thing that I will say is that our bodies like to eat within the seasons. And so allowing our bodies to eat within the seasons is something that we can do with frozen fruits and vegetables. Frozen foods are actually flash frozen on site and packaged immediately. This way, the nutrients from the moment you're cutting your plant, they're getting jam-packed into that frozen material. And then it goes straight to the freezer and then to our grocery store. The crazy, amazing thing about this is that you are not subject to price fluctuations that our fruits and our vegetables are when they are fresh. When we go into the grocery produce aisle, if we are out of season for something, chances are the price will be astronomical. Getting a head of cauliflower in the middle of winter can be very pricey. But guess what? Frozen foods are kind of immune to those price fluctuations. The package stays the same price, and you're getting all of the nutrients that your body deserves. Guys, in conclusion, today we talked about how we're gonna get healthy on a budget. I talked to you about a couple of tips that I think are super important, and I really hope you get from it. Let's do a little recap. Tip 1 is planning. Planning your week, planning your budget, planning your meals, making sure that before you go into that grocery store, you know exactly what you're gonna be getting. Step 2, know your grocery store. Get comfortable in your grocery store and understand that yes, there's tons of marketing going on, but at the same time, there's a lot of really beautiful things for you to pick and choose from that are gonna help you. And believe it or not, you can do this on a budget. Step 3 was all about smart substitutions, learning about organic, non-genetically modified, and choosing to make specific small choices that are going to allow you to start incorporating those healthy things into your lifestyle while maintaining your budget. So if you'd love to get in touch with me and you have more questions and you want to elaborate further, feel free to reach out to me at crystal@crystalbaran.com, which is my email, or you can even give me a call at 514-819-1189. I really welcome any questions or comments that you have, and I really hope to see you guys having fun on your wellness journey. I look forward to the spring and the summer with a lot of hope and positivity for all of the new things that are gonna come, where we can be together with our families and enjoy ourselves over the beautiful summer months. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.
When the sun is bright or in the darkest night, we're all in this together. I've got many friends, and you are one of them. We're all in this together. It will be okay. Ça va bien aller. I've got many songs to sing, won't you? Sing them too. I'll see you again at the rainbow's end in fair or stormy weather. For love is like a smile that says see you in a while. We're all in this together.